One of the things with leadership, which I know you endorse, is that we have to be in good health to be a good leader.
You start there.
Yeah, yeah. So talk about what do you advise leaders as far as their health? Because you and I are blessed with some fairly lean bodies. We're in reasonably good shape. I say that choking as I say it because I'm not aerobically in the best shape. But what do you advise leaders who it's pretty easy to take somebody like us and say, okay, start running or go to the gym or do whatever. What about the leader who's let their body go
Mm.
and they're struggling with some weight? They're struggling with some health issues. This is totally off topic, but I mean, we're
No,
talking
no, it's the
leadership.
thing.
So,
It happens. It comes up. I mean,
yeah,
I do like the one-to-one occasionally, very occasionally I do one-to-one coaching and stuff like that.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
place I always start is sleep.
yeah.
Are you getting enough sleep? Do you watch? Do you have a phone? Yes. Do you use it in your bed? Yes. Yeah, stop doing that. Don't have if you got a TV in your bedroom? Yes. Unplug the darn thing and take it downstairs. Don't do that.
Mhm.
Don't watch TV. Go to bed to sleep and to cuddle your wife. But that's it. Don't do any work in your bedroom if you can avoid it. If you're fortunate enough, and typically people of our ilk and manager types, they have a bit of space in their house these days. Although I did have many people working in the end of their beds for far too long during that nonsense. But get some sleep. Start with your sleep. Then start with your eating. Right? You know you're a bit fat. Doesn't matter about the gym. Eat less. Right? Eat half what you're doing and exercise twice what you're doing. See if you walk to the end of the road and back, walk to the end of the road and back twice. That's it.
Yeah.
Tiny habits. Start with the tiny habits. There's a guy called BJ Fogg. I think he's a social scientist, evolutionary biologist, that sort of thing. And he talks about tiny habits, trying to do the minimum effective dose. What's the least you can do that just starts moving the dial? So eat half of what you're doing, exercise twice of what you're doing. These are simple numbers. So you get your plate of food, draw a line of it. There you go, 2 meals. Save you a ton of money. Who doesn't
Oh,
need to
yeah.
do that these days, right? And that's it. So I would start with sleep, look at your food, look at your exercise, and work from there. And the reason, and there's always got to be a reason for this, because if you don't have the reason, people aren't going to do it. And it's if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after anyone else. Your job, and this is the fundamentals of it, your job is to make other people successful. And you cannot do that unless you yourself you're taking care of that first. You got to take care of your kids, you got to take care of your business, your team, whatever. Take care of yourself first. Going to the gym is more important. Personally, I say go to church, go to the gym, right? These are the things you got to look after your spiritual health, your physical health, your mental health. Then you can think about looking after other people's spiritual, mental, physical health. And only then do we get into, okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you hold a one-to-one. Because none of that matters if you're a bag of nerves and stressed and exhausted and going around that. You've got to
No,
fix
no,
that.
totally. I mean, and there's so many things that you touched on that strike me. So I think you mentioned before we got on that you guys make all your own food, something like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah.
it's
My
not
wife is
only
an
cutting
amazing
back
cook.
on the
Yeah,
amount, but it is what you eat. So
yeah.
we got into watching the Forks Over Knives movies years ago that are vegetarian
Mm.
advocating documentaries, and we actually went vegetarian for like 2.5 years. Now we do have some meat, but I eat half the amount of meat I used to.
Mm.
So and only organic. And so,
Yeah.
but there's different types of diets, but doing it yourself and looking at the quality of food. So your wife, you say, is an amazing cook in what she does. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, she's a superb cook. I really enjoy my food as well. I mean, it's just also why I go to the gym. I like my food. So if I didn't go to the gym, I'd be 5 times the size I am now. I used to be a big guy. I was a good, I don't know, well, I can't do this in pounds, but yeah, let's try. I was a good 50 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
That was a thing. I was like, and there's an extra me right here. That took a long, long, long time to fix. A long
Did you
time.
ever listen to any of Zig Ziglar stuff?
Yes, I love Zig. It was just
Yeah,
fun.
Zig. So in the let's see, 1989 to 93, I was in sales, and he had a tape set, cassette tapes in those days, 6 cassette tapes, and it was I cannot remember, Steps to the Top or something like that. And I remember he told, and I had other ones, but I remember he told the story. He was 100 pounds overweight.
Mm.
And he woke up one morning and said, "I'm not doing this anymore." And I don't remember what he said about diet. I'm sure he adjusted some things in diet, but he started running for the first time. And so he did two things that were very interesting that applies to your tiny habits. First of all, he said, "Okay, um, I'm going to run every day," and he would run 1 block, and then he'd run back, and the next morning he'd run 2 blocks, and the next morning he ran 3 blocks. Now I don't know where he ended up, but and he had a goal. His goal was to lose 1/4 pound a day.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
and he followed that regimen, and in a year he lost 100 pounds,
There you
approximately
go.
a year,
Yeah.
and never looked back. And it was very, very interesting, his approach, and it ties into your tiny habits, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Wait, the other side of that, I think, is you have to track things. You
Yeah,
have to track things. You have to have a method of accountability. Humans are fanciful, whimsical creatures. We think we are rational and organized and structured and process driven. And some people have more of a predilection towards that. My wife is wonderful. She's a superb project manager, programs everything, really organized. I'm more of the strategist, kind of the ideas guy, and need other people to help me get stuff done. But we think we remember things. We think we know what's actually going on. We really don't. We make decisions and then say that was because of a particularly sensible reason. And no, 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 it wasn't. We are not a rational species. We are a rationalizing species. So for Zig to do his 1/4 pound a day, I bet you he tracked it. He just ticked a box. He wrote it down. If you do
yeah,
that, that's how you set the system in place that leads you towards and beyond whatever goal you could possibly imagine.